But what's the score on my assessment? This video is going to help you interpret the feedback and the score on your formative and summative assessments. A score is not important. What do I mean? I mean what you learned and what you do if you didn't learn, that's what's important. We don't want to focus on a score. It doesn't tell the whole picture. You can look at what you've learned and what you didn't learn and move forward from there. Formative checkpoints are one of the two types of assessments we will have in this class. A teacher-marked assessment during the learning process. The key word in that sentence is during. You see, a formative assessment allows you to learn and move forward. It's not the end, and a score will not be given. At the top of each of the formative checkpoints, you will see the standard labeled in bold and underlined. In this case, the properties of real and complex numbers. You will see off to the right a box that says MP and NY. I will explain that in a moment. Each of you will receive feedback written on your papers to help you move forward with your learning on that particular standard. It's like a rough drafted English class. You have the opportunity then to correct some errors, not because you want to earn points back, because you actually want to learn and do better the next time. Your test, that's closer to the final copy. But our quiz is definitely a rough draft. We're still learning. If I circle MP, it means that you're making progress. It tells me that there's enough evidence to support that you're making progress towards reaching or exceeding the standard. I recommend that you review the feedback and your errors, because making progress does not mean it's perfect. You will record the feedback so you can internalize it. You should also seek support and additional practice for those errors to continue to learn this standard. If I circle an NY, it's because I do not believe that yet you've reached a level of proficiency. There is not enough evidence, or the evidence you've given me is inconsistent in supporting your understanding of this standard. Remember, this isn't the end game, so don't worry. What you should do is review the feedback and your errors and record the feedback, basically creating a study guide specific to your areas of need. You should seek support and additional practice to relearn this standard. What do I mean by internalizing feedback? Let's suppose this is a situation that you've been in, or something similar to it, where you've received feedback from somebody who's helping you grow and get better at a skill or something you're learning. A baseball coach tells me each time you swung and missed, you raised your head as you swung, so you didn't really have your eye on the ball. On the one you hit hard, you kept your head down and saw the ball. The coach is giving me some good advice. If I don't take that advice, I didn't internalize it and I will unlikely improve. But if I keep my thoughts on the fact that my head needs to stay down and I need to keep my eye on the ball, then I have a better chance of swinging and making contact with the ball. This is the idea. We don't want to just okay, someone gave me advice and move on. We need to take that advice and put it into action. To do this, we're going to be using a program called Seesaw on your iPads. This also can be on your phones, but I'm sure we'll just use it on our iPads. For this, you're going to be able to take pictures, video, you can draw, you can connect a link, you can even type and write yourself a note. We're going to keep a journal, basically, similar to, Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter, where it's just a feed, except this is obviously for school. So we're going to keep it, and we're going to keep a journal, and the only people that can see this journal are you and me. But this will allow you to store all of that feedback in one place. So here's the follow-through, and it's really important. You'll see this poster in our classroom as well. So if you're making progress, that means you're on the right track. It does not mean you're done learning. But if you have not yet met or has shown enough evidence to support your understanding, you might have a bigger task on your hands. It doesn't mean you can't get there or you won't get there. I believe you will. So for summative assessments, this is more like a test. It's a teacher mark assessment but happens after the learning process. Our summative assessments will also receive feedback, especially if you still need to work on a standard. Similar to the formative checkpoints, you will also see the name of the standard written at the top, bolded and underlined. You will then see a box that says 4321 because here you will receive a score. These are the summative assessment marks. For a 4 and a 3, it means that you've got it. You've either reached or exceeded the necessary proficiency by showing enough evidence with enough consistency. If you receive a 2, you have not yet met proficiency on the standard, and the evidence is still inconsistent. And if you receive a 1, very little evidence of making progress had been shown. If you see a 0 in the gradebook, it really just means you were likely absent on that day and did not assess yet. Very important to point out, these are not equivalent to A, B, C, D, F, or an incomplete. Well, take that back. That 0 does mean incomplete because you haven't assessed yet. But what we need to focus on is that 4 does not equal an A, a 3 does not equal a B, and most importantly, a 2 doesn't equal a C, and a D and F is not a 1. There's no equivalent. I'm not translating like that. After a summative assessment, we will also record our feedback and we will have a chance to reassess. Reassessment opportunities are available for all students and are a requirement of students that receive less than a 3 on a summative primary standard. Failure to reassess or reach proficiency will result in course failure. Students can meet with me, attend the Saxon Academic Center, complete extra practice, and then reassess the standards that are needed. You will not be reassessing an entire summative assessment, only the standards in which you were unable to reach a 3 or a 4. Okay, so I've learned everything. That means you've shown a 3 or a 4 on everything. What's my grade? This question will only be answered if and when you have learned all of the standards. I'm going to repeat. That is, on a summative assessment or a revision, you have reached at least a 3 on all of the learning standards. Since you must have a 3 or 4 on all the primary summative scores to pass the class, then you'd have a D. Then we look at the secondary summative scores. If you do not have any 1s, you have a C. If you don't have any 2s, you have a B-. And then it's whichever you have more of, emphasizing the primary standards, to earn an A or a B. Remember, the goal for my students is to learn. A grade is not needed to learn. It comes after the learning. Please jot down any questions you have, and I'd be happy to talk to you about them in class. If you feel you need to talk to me privately, please feel free to email me.